Hey guys, Sausage here. Goblin Auto Club Manager is an auto racer that goes 0 to 60 so quickly that it'll put any Tesla to shame. However, it eventually begins to stall. Released on July 25th, 2024, Goblin Auto Club Manager currently sits at an 83% positive rating on Steam. I currently have around 18 hours of playtime with 29 of the 32 achievements unlocked, and yet I still have not beaten the game. I would like to preface this review by saying I received this product for free. The developer gifted me a Steam key. I did not pay for this product. To reiterate, this game was given to me for free by the developer. I did not pay for this game. With that said, let's start the review. Goblin Auto Club Manager is all about purchasing upgrades in the form of chassis, drivers, engines, wheels, brakes, and accessories. After purchasing your parts and upgrades, you choose which items you want to use and then hop onto a track and race. Each race requires different perks and attributes, such as a track that is on dirt or grass will require points in off-road, while tracks with lots of turns will require points in turning. The entire premise of the game is to win races, buy parts and upgrades, race again, and rinse and repeat until you hit a championship, which is a total of 3 races. After winning the championship, you start back over in the next tier of drivers, slowly moving up and up again until you complete yet another championship. With that, let's get the bad out of the way first, because this game does have some issues, but the point of early access is to give feedback. I think these complaints can easily be fixed and will make this game worth purchasing. First and foremost, the user interface needs a lot of work. My biggest complaint is about the shop. When you buy an item, it takes you straight to the garage and you need to click back to the hub menu, then back to the shop if you want to buy another item. While in the beginning this was not a big deal, towards the end of the game I was buying items en masse. This is how long it took to buy 5 items. This clip is unedited. I have a few recommendations on how to fix this. The developer could either add a button in the garage that takes the player straight back to the shop, or the more efficient option would be to allow the player to buy all of the items at once rather than one at a time. That said, there are 2 more shop-related issues. In the later game, some items are blacked out because the item cannot be upgraded any further. If the item cannot be upgraded any further, then why is it in the shop to begin with? At one point, I had all 5 options blacked out, so I had to spend yet another 100 credits to refresh the store. So essentially, 200 credits just for the opportunity to buy an item. With how often I refresh the store, I most likely spent over 10,000 credits on refreshing alone, or maybe even 20,000. With that amount of credits, I could buy most items as there were only a handful with a price tag over 10k. These blacked out items should be removed entirely. The other shop issue is the price of refreshing the store. If the player purchases every single item in the shop should refresh for free. To sweeten the deal, for every item bought, the price of the refresh should drop as well. While I am not sure if the refresh should drop by 20 credits per purchase or something more exponential like 5, 10, 20, and 40 credits, the shop should cut the player a deal regardless for spending credits, especially if one of the options are blacked out and cannot be purchased. To continue the topic of UI, if you do not meet the criteria to race in the championship, you still must either watch it or manually click skip through the races. If I do not qualify for the races, then I should not have to do that. Just tell me I did not meet the criteria and let me skip it all entirely. On top of that, if you lose the championship, you are forced to complete yet another 10 races before you can attempt the championship again. My solution to both of these issues is, rather than having me play through 10 races and then manually click skip if I do not qualify, how about just letting me race until I do qualify and then letting me continue trying the championships until I either win or choose to back out so that I can work on purchasing upgrades. I give credit where credit is due though, and one nice feature the developer did include in the UI is saving vehicle loadouts. However, while this is a great feature to have, I did not find myself using it. The reason being is that with how often I bought upgrades, I felt as if the moment I found a build I liked, I would then find another build with better stats because of a new piece I bought, which in turn, if I introduce a new piece to my build, there was a chance I would need to change more than just that single piece. I will admit that towards the end, I did have a few go-to builds, though like I said, I was constantly buying parts and upgrades en masse, so I was constantly checking to see what was best. Next is the gameplay. While I genuinely did enjoy the game, there were a few moments that grew increasingly frequent where I became more and more frustrated. There were times where I felt cheated out of races for a variety of reasons. The biggest one is that starting at the end of the pack is almost a guaranteed handicap from my experience. While the drivers do have an adjustable aggression meter which determines how likely a driver is to pass another, I think a lot of it also depends on the size of the vehicles that are passing each other as well as the width of the road on the track. Other times I would crash for absolutely no reason, or I would crash into another vehicle and they would continue moving without being slowed, or I would come to a complete stop and be turned around while having a pretty decent lead and then out of nowhere dropping to 4th place on the final lap. My biggest frustration is an opponent indicating they are going in for a pit stop midway through the lap, then rather than your driver driving around this opponent, they would attempt to squeeze between the driver and pit stop, usually resulting in a crash. Why? Anyone with any driving knowledge knows that this is a stupid and terrible idea, so why is my driver doing that? Again, to give the developer credit, they did introduce a difficulty setting, but as far as I know, this setting can only be changed before starting a new game. Where I am now, I cannot change this setting. Then the cherry on top is that even though I did genuinely enjoy the game, around the 10-hour mark, I started to mentally check out because it became a grind and I felt like I was not making much progress. I have no issues grinding as I'm no stranger to MMOs, but grinding without feeling any real sense of progress really deters me. Sure, I can buy upgrades, but I was still having trouble winning races, so why am I purchasing upgrades, racing, and playing the game in general if I'm still just going to lose? The music isn't bad either, but it does become repetitive and becomes old quickly. Eventually, I had to turn on Spotify so that my mind would not become even more numb than it already was after the 10-hour mark. Thank you for your service, Gojira. As for art, while the pixelation isn't bad, it makes the game look almost flat. It's creative without feeling unique. While I enjoyed the aesthetic in the beginning, eventually, seeing these pixelated pictures became almost stressful on my eyes. One of the best things about this game is the mechanics. The game is simple, yet still requires some strategic thinking and planning. While I have already covered the topic of buying parts and upgrades, building vehicles out of these different combinations then testing them on the tracks is the whole point of the game, and it is a lot of fun. During the race, you have a few different areas of control. First, there's the aggression meter, which determines how likely a driver is to overtake another driver. As for something a little more hands-on, you have two buttons you can press during the race, T and P. T is for turbo, and P is for pit stop. Turbo, as it implies, allows you to speed up, but at the cost of vehicle durability, which determines your performance on the track. Pit stop allows you to pull over and regain your durability at the cost of taking a short pause from the race. Choosing when to use these abilities is crucial to keeping the lead of the race. Now, where I started my list off on a bad note, here's the best part of the game. While I did receive this product for free, the normal price tag is only $10 US. For $10, I got almost 20 hours out of the game, and I didn't even beat it. Yes, I did mentally check out around 10 hours in, but that's still 10 plus hours for $10, and that's still in early access and will continue to get better as the developer receives more feedback. All that said, I give this game a rating of 6.8 sausages out of 10. The UI is easily the weakest link as I just spent way too much time traversing from the garage to the hub menu, back to the shop, and then doing it all over again with each purchase, and then being forced to spend 100 credits to refresh the store, even if I bought everything or if an item was blacked out because it was fully upgraded. Not to mention, if I qualify for a championship, being forced to skip through it, and then being forced to replay the 10 races if I were to lose. The gameplay is fun, however, I did become frustrated way too often over trivial issues that shouldn't be an issue to begin with. While crashing should be an expected part of the gameplay, it shouldn't be as frequent or as crippling as it is. The music and the art aren't bad, but it isn't special either. And after almost 20 hours of gameplay, I was tired of seeing the same backdrops and stages time after time and having the same soundtrack on loop getting stuck in my head. The mechanics are simple yet still require a decorum of strategy and critical thought, whereas the time spent in the game is worth the price tag, but with how mind-numbing it is to grind out this game while feeling less and less progress as I continue forward, I cannot give time a perfect score. The developer, I'm sure, put a lot of time and effort into this game, and I hope they are proud of their final product because I know I sure would be. With that said though, this game has some flaws. Some of these flaws can be fixed, such as with the UI and the gameplay. The UI should be a simple fix and would make the experience a lot better. The gameplay may be a bit trickier, though it still deserves a little attention. If the developer could make these changes, I would be comfortable bumping this game up to a solid 8 out of 10, but as it sits right now, 6.8 is a fair rating. If you got this far, I hope you enjoyed my review and that I have helped you in determining whether you want to purchase this game. If you liked this video, consider liking and subscribing. If not, just know that I appreciate your viewership nonetheless. I also have a Twitch channel where I stream occasionally, so consider following me over there as well. Anyway, I think I'm going to cut the review here. Mahoney out.